Hello to all of you from around the world. I want to welcome you to another beautiful edition of Soulivity Today, broadcasting live from our studio in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I'm so glad you're here. We have another amazing show for you today. But before I get into our show for today, I want to introduce to you my amazing co-host for today, Sheila Applegate and Halina Goldstein. Hey, ladies, how are you?
Hello.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm not bad. This is a good day. It's a really, really good day. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, everybody over here in the States. We were talking about it earlier in the when we were offline about the latest indictment and that kind of thing from the former president, who I won't mention his name right now. Maybe we'll do a show on it, but yeah, lots going on. What about you guys? Sheila, what's been happening in your world?
Well, we had fractal illumination this weekend, and it was
Yeah.
wonderful.
I felt it.
It was rumbling, right? Yeah, it was so powerful, and it was, there's a buildup of energy that as the conduits for it can get a little intense. So the end of the week was a little bit intense, and then it just opens up to this like expansive love when the event happens. So it was really beautiful, and I've been feeling great since then.
Yes, you sound like it. I can feel your energies like tip top. What about you, Halina?
Yeah.
How has your week been?
Oh, it's been good. It's been what and the thing that first comes to mind is that I'm finishing the book that I'm getting ready to publish. That's such a wonderful feeling after almost 20 years. It's going to be
Fantastic.
born. So some stories
Congratulations.
and also,
Yeah, that's
thank
excellent.
you. Yeah, and also meeting friends, some very new and some that I've known for 50 years. So there's this experience of something white. Good feeling.
Well, with all this wonderfulness happening, why don't we just take this into our Tuesday show today? Now, both of you probably know how much I love to travel. In connecting with people from different cultures, I really think it's a way we bridge the gap between souls. And so, but I also understand that travel today also comes at a cost. And that cost is affecting our planet. So what do we do? What do we do about it? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about finding joyful ways to travel while taking care of our planet. So I guess where we will begin with all this is, to both of you, I guess it's just a practical question, right? I guess this is where we need to start, because I'm loving that we're actually having this conversation. I don't think people think about it that much. They just travel. Do we even need to travel as much as we used to? And I know, Halina, you have some things about this that you wanted to share.
Yeah. So this is something I've been contemplating, and as you said, it's so important that there is an exchange between cultures, and that we meet and learn from each other, inspire each other, and our planet is at its perhaps greatest crisis. So, and travel does affect it negatively. So I think we need to, and this is a real need, is to really learn to think very differently about travel, because our planet needs it, and this can be. And I know that we talked a little bit about it before the show. I know that at some point there will be more sustainable ways to travel, but they're not quite here yet. So until then, we really have to contemplate, if we cannot stop travel, and in a way that would be my recommendations to in many cases, how can we travel in different ways? How can we travel so that we show and live our care for the planet?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is
Makes
the
sense to
real
me.
need and what are unreal needs? Sorry. Yes.
Right. Exactly. And with the number of planes and trains and automobiles and all that kind of stuff, you know, um, do we need to, and I want to also put in here commuting, because I think that's part of this as well. We can talk, the differences a little bit later. But what about you, Sheila? What are you thinking about this?
Well, I think there has been a shift as far as the commuting aspect of travel. Being in New York, and having a daughter in LA, I'm conscious of the industries that have been traveling back and forth between the two sides of our country, which is quite a distance. We
Right.
don't think of it that much of a distance because it's within our country, but
Right.
it is quite a distance in a lot of flights. And I do think that there has been a reframing as more people got used to being able to communicate. We have more ability to communicate, to see each other, and to work together at a distance. So that is a wonderful thing. Families are separating more. Like both of my kids are on the West Coast. So in my heart, I would say I need to travel and I need them to travel because,
Right.
but we do try to make decisions like, when I get out to the West Coast, go to both kids, take time off or work from, the distance, because it really doesn't matter for me, so that I'm not flying back and forth as frequently. And then there's, of course, that connection to other cultures and having clients around the country that I love around the world that I want to, Halina and I have talked about creating something in person together, and we have to weigh out all those decisions and then kind of discern how we can do that in the most loving way for our planet and for the world.
It's funny. I remember my uncle, who he had a job that basically he had to travel globally. I mean, it was like 70% travel, if you can believe that, in a job. We went to some magical places. But when I was talking to him about it, I said, "Oh, it must be great traveling and all that kind of stuff." And he was telling me that, he said, "Yeah, I mean, there's a glamorous part of it, and there's a cultural awareness part of it that is absolutely wonderful." He was also saying that, listen, we're putting a lot of pollution in the air when we travel as much as we do, and that he discovered too that traveling that much is also was hard on him, where you're constantly shifting time zones. Your sleep pattern is way off because some legs it would be where you're up for 16 hours, right? Others might be up for 8. And then he discovered that the best way for him to kind of support traveling in a better way for himself and for the environment was, instead of him flying back and forth to different places, he would just fly from one place to another and then go from that place to the next place, into the next place, into the next place, and then come back, right? And basically what happens is that you've cut in half the amount of travel that you've done, and you've made it more efficient, right? Which is part of the key here, right? In addition to other things we'll probably talk about in a little bit. But I was like, wow, he was already conscious of that. I mean, and ladies, he traveled a lot. I mean, for almost 30 years. I mean, he had I think he reached that whole million mile thing where, you know, it's only like a few people in the world who've reached that many miles traveling. But that he was really conscious of it too. Like, you know, like I can't keep doing this the same way. It's better that I do this efficiently in terms of cost, in terms of what it does for cost for my body and cost for the environment. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'll ask our audience too. I mean, do you find that you need to travel as much as you used to? Because I think that that's an important question that we need to be asking ourselves. You know, I know that, you know, we used to take trips in our car and all that kind of stuff when we were younger because flying was it was too cost prohibitive for us to fly anywhere. So we'd get in our car and drive for 5 hours and that kind of thing. But I think it's a really good question that we have to ask ourselves, you know, in terms of it. So great start. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into this whole thing because I think that we've got to unpack the layers of this because I guess, you know, people, I think a lot of times we don't think about the cost that we're having on our environment by traveling, period, but really traveling a lot. And so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking more about, like, you know, some impacts that traveling has on our environment and our planet and on ourselves. So we're going to take a quick break, everybody, and we'll be back with more of Soulivity Today in just a second. Soulivity Today is brought to you by Happy Travelers Tours and Old Vine Wine Tours. Satana products at our Go shop at go.soulivity.com.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame, living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us, a place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Hello there. We're back with more here on Soulivity Today. We're talking about finding joyful ways to travel while taking care of our planet. And ladies, I want to start this next segment with something from the World Counts. And it's this beautiful article that was talking about impact. And it said in 1950, there were 25 million international tourist arrivals. In 1970, the number was 166 million. And by 1990, it had grown to 435 million. From 1990 to 2018, numbers more than tripled, reaching 1.442 billion. And by 2030, 1.8 billion tourist arrivals are projected. It says tourism provides enormous stress on local land use and can lead to soil erosion, increased pollution, natural habitat loss, and more pressure on endangered species. These effects can gradually destroy the environmental resources on which tourism itself depends. So I guess my next question to both of you is, are there ways that we can travel that don't impact the planet negatively? And maybe the inverse of that is, are there some positive ways that we can travel that will have a positive impact? And Sheila, I'll go to you first for this one.
I'm really looking forward to hearing what Halina says about this, because I know she was inspired by these ideas. To me, when I think about it, it's some of the things that we've already talked about: combined trips, travel for longer periods of time rather than more frequently, really focus on locally sourced foods and using going to restaurants that are not chains, things like that. And for me, I would rather go into a small town and just hang out and get to know the people, or,
Right.
we can see the tourist sites, but are we seeing them because the world told us they were important, or because we really, really want to see that particular site?
Right.
So get to know yourself, bring joy in, and see where you can go with it.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Halina, I know you've been thinking about this a lot, so go for it.
Yes, I have. So yes, everything that Sheila says, and I also want to present a couple of very different ideas that may not feel like a substitute for having to travel less, but then again they may. So one thing is, as we were talking about already, about avoiding airplanes. And just to give you an example what's possible, there's a Danish traveler that just came home after 10 years of travel, through which he visited every single country in the world and did not fly at all. So it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, it's difficult, but it's possible. But the other part that I want to share is because at the end of the day, maybe it's not about places, maybe it's about experiences. There are travels that are really important personal, like what you share, Sheila, for example. But there are many times when we travel, we seek experiences, we seek inspiration. I've had some experiences that are kind of wild. So many years ago, I was inspired to write a novel about Brazil, and I never visited Brazil. And every time I tried to visit Brazil, something came in the way. So eventually, I started to research, like more than you can imagine, like everything, not everything, but a lot that I could find on the internet, every book I could get my hands on, every film I could watch, and interviewing people. And eventually, I came to a place where I think I know a lot about Brazil. And then something really interesting happened. I don't feel like visiting anymore. There's a feeling,
Okay.
and of course, I do acknowledge that if I went there, there would be tons of experience that I didn't expect. I'm not underestimating it, but the hunger was gone.
Right.
There's a feeling,
Right.
I have a deep connection with Brazil now. I understand so much more about the nature and the people. And I've had similar experiences with Asia. I'm having similar experience with Japan these days. So consider traveling without traveling. There's so much to experience there. And also traveling, because we need new experiences. So the other thing I've been exploring a lot was traveling locally, like discovering places I have no idea existed very close to me that are absolutely stunningly beautiful and inspiring. They're
Hmm.
right next to me. Don't have to go so far. So something like that too.
Thanks for that, Halina. I'm thinking about, there was a coworker of mine that I had years ago who he had gotten married. They had two small children, and this was like, I think one of the children was like 5. I think the other one was like 2 or 3, and they were thinking that, listen, we're young, we want to see the world, let's just go do it. And his wife was like, yeah. And so basically they went on this journey for like, I think they were gone. He said they were gone for like almost 2 years. And I basically only took 2 flights during that entire time. One was over to the Pacific. They got to Asia, and they had some arrangements in Asia. And then they were just making their way across Asia to Europe. I think they've spent some time in Africa as well. But they were just living overseas, making their way, doing things, and they had some magical experiences during that time where when he said when we came back, he said, yes, there might be a couple other places we want to see, but or revisit, but it won't be that same way, right? Where we feel like, oh, we got to take this plane here or there or whatever. And so they created a way that was beautiful for them. And they said that it wasn't that bad with having 2 small children either. That the people who were that they met along the way, it's like children are everywhere. So it's like, yeah, we know you got some small kids, so we know that because we got kids too, so we know that you have to have certain things and that kind of thing to be able to make it through. But when you were talking about the man that traveled to every country in the world, I was thinking about that, and that, yeah, it's possible that you can go and experience these things and do it in a way that's really cognizant of what affects, the engineering of traveling, planes and all that kind of stuff can have on the environment. And so I think we do need to think differently. And I also think that COVID kind of brought in a lesson around there are additional ways for us to connect with each other and be with each other in a virtual environment where we can get some of that connection that's there. Because
we're doing it right now, right?
Exactly. And so, I'm remembering the performers in Italy that were on their balconies singing. The only way I knew about that is that I saw that online, right? And that some of that was broadcast live. So amazing stuff. Ladies, this is exactly how I wanted this conversation to go. So thank you so much. We're going to take another quick break. But when we come back, we'll have more with joyful ways to travel while taking care of our planet as well. So we'll be right back in a couple minutes. Hi there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoy the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. Hello there. We're back with more of Soulivity today. We have my very special co-host, Sheila Applegate and Halina Goldstein. We are talking today about joyful ways to travel while taking care of our planet. Ladies, I found a very cool, I'm just going to say cool, Harvard Business School study that was conducted. It was a debate that they had with some notable experts on the roadblocks to environmental sustainability. I thought you would be interested in finding out what they found. They said that organizational barriers and budget constraints make even simple changes difficult to accomplish. That's true. They said that the accurate and practical measurement of environmental damage and the institutions that allow it is a critical determinant of corporate behavior. They went on to say that they pointed out that consequential protection of the natural environment requires fundamental change in energy systems, but doing so requires overcoming the inertia inherent in any complex social technical system. They also went on and said that they expressed some skepticism in the capacity of the new voluntary road to environmental protection and doubted it could allow meaningful change. And they debated whether the new road might be headed in the wrong direction. So interesting thoughts about this, where these noted scholars were talking about these roadblocks and we'll put the link on the chat because it's a long synopsis of what they found. But I thought it was interesting that there are conversations happening about this, right? And that because of everything that happens in the world, we don't necessarily see those conversations happening because the media is covering something else. But this is a very important conversation for us to have. And so, again, question to you in regards to this. Do you agree? I mean, do you agree with some of the things that they found? And what would help us move forward with more sustainable ways to travel and even live? I mean, because this is about living too, right? Just us living day to day. And so, Halina, I'll go to you, back to you.
So just as a side note, recently the Danish Minister for Climate said that they only want to make changes that 80% of Danes agree with. And what immediately happened, that all the people that really know something about climate started protesting because they say that will never work because we are people as such, we are too slow to changes. So it really takes the courage to not just do what 80% agree on, but to do what is necessary. And that brings me to, I do believe that the that the biggest factor that helps us making the right choices is not surprisingly our consciousness,
Right.
because when we have a consciousness that helps us think bigger, that helps us feeling naturally and actually connected with other people and with our planet, the choices aren't all that difficult. But when
Right.
we are confined in our own ego and our own fear and our I need this, I must have this, I want this, it has to be the way I want it, then it's very difficult to make changes, and it's also difficult to travel in new ways. So consciousness
Right.
is the key once again.
Right. 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 I love it. I love it. Sheila?
Well, I'm right there with you, Halina. I do believe consciousness is the key. And that consciousness comes in all different layers, right? And part of it is awareness and just understanding the systems, consumerism and capitalism that influences us, all those underlying things. But then there's that higher consciousness that we talk about with the vibration of joy moving through us. And going back to what you said, Halina, when you spoke about how after researching a culture and using your imagination, because I think that's part of the key to that. When you're writing a novel, you're imagining. And the more we open to our
Exactly.
imagination through meditation, through this ability, it actually creates this ability within us where we can experience without being physically present. And I have noticed that that is something that has been lately. I don't have as much need to travel. Even with my kids, I say, well, I need to travel to them. That is us seeing each other maybe twice a year.
Right.
One
Right.
time when they're coming here and one time when I'm going there, maybe, on a good year, a little bit more, um, but we're together. I don't feel the distance of that. I feel like I know Halina. Years ago, I was in England and we were on our way to someplace else and we drove by Stonehenge. And in the moment we drove by it, I could see it from the distance and I was in it. I could imagine myself it and I could feel the vibration of it. On the way home, we stopped and we went in and we had to go through barricades. And then we stood behind a fence to look at this this amazing thing. And it was so clear in that moment. I was further away when I was close up and had paid to get in than when I was driving away. So now, even when, Zach mentions, let's go to this place or that place, I'm like, I feel like I've been there, like I don't
Right.
want to
Right.
go and see the deconstruction of it. I know it from its essence. And I think that
Mhm.
that can
Oh,
change
yeah.
things. So consciousness can change so many different aspects of this.
Totally agree with both of you. Couple of thoughts. One was watching the BBC. There's brilliant things that are happening in the world of environmental sustainability that I think the world needs to know about. One was, and I think this was in Denmark actually, Halina, where the environmental engineers are already thinking ahead around things like wind turbines, wind power, right? Where the average wind turbine and it lasts for about 25 to 30 years. Well, what do you do with those parts, right? We don't want to make the same mistake that we've made in other forms of energy where we have all this stuff and we don't know what to do with it. So we just kind of throw it to the side and now that becomes another dump, right? So they're already creating ways to reuse those materials to sustain wind turbines. And so it was like amazing. So again, higher consciousness thinking changes the way we look at a problem and how we can solve the problem. And the solution comes a lot easier than we thought it could be, right? The other thing I'm thinking about is um, when I think of travel now, I don't want to travel someplace and go and come back immediately. I want to go and live for a while,
Mm.
right? Be there, right? It's like, why leave, right? Again, it's to take a short trip and come back and that kind of thing. I think you're always longing. I always have this feeling of longing to know more and to be in that environment. And so, I'm thinking for future as we move forward to more sustainable things, that my idea is that, if I'm going someplace, I'm going to live there for a while and just be there for a while and really experience the fullness of the people and the culture and the foods and the nature there and all of it, instead of this, jet laggy kind of thing and dealing with airports and people and security and customs and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I was thinking about. Great conversation so far. I think we're really talking about some really, really cool things. Listen, we're going to take another very quick break, but we'll be back in about 60 seconds or so.
6 years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit Soulivity.com now.
And we're back with more of Soulivity today. I'm here with some very special people who I appreciate so much, Sheila Applegate and Halina Goldstein. We're talking about ways to travel and doing it in a sustainable way where we're taking care of our planet. Ladies, I found that there's some good news. I don't want to make sure that people understand that there's some good news in all of this, which is I found this information from travel agent central.com, where they say a large majority of global travelers, 87%, ladies, say they want to travel sustainably. And this is according to the new sustainable travel report released by Booking.com in honor of Earth Day on April the 22nd. So that nearly 4 in 10, that's 39%, confirm that they often or always manage to do so. However, 48% indicate that they never, rarely, or only sometimes manage to travel sustainably, suggesting that while promising strides are being made for a greener future, there is still plenty of room to turn intentions into action. Wow, 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 wow. So let's move to some joy, because there is this movement here. I mean, there's a movement of people, and it feels like this information that I just found out about, that there's people who actually want to do this. They actually want to travel in a sustainable way. So as part of that, what are some ways people can add joy into traveling or not traveling, right? Or traveling in a different way, right? Traveling consciously to another place. And Halina, of course, I'm going to go to you.
Thank you. So this was actually really great news to hear. 40% that already do it. I think that's a lot. I'm
Right.
pleasantly surprised.
Mhm.
But just to comment on that. So I know just from talking with people that one of the reasons why people don't travel this way is because they don't feel they can afford it. And I understand that completely. And I would like to mention that there is a way to bring joy into our relationship with money, which transforms the way
Mhm.
we spend money and transforms the way we relate to money, and then actually also can transform our finances. Actually, Sheila and I have made a course about it that is on Aspire. It's called Infuse Your Finances with Joy. And this is important. this is really important, just as a very practical way of bringing joy into the picture, and from there really discover that we're able to create sustainable travel, even if we have limited resources.
I love that you went to that, Halina, because
Yeah.
the joy in finances is the foundation of joy in travel, right? Because I think that a lot of times we're seeking something and we can't fill that need or that spot. But when we know that we have the resources and the ability, then the joy just amplifies when we realize that we are capable of making these choices that are in alignment with what we're feeling and desiring.
Right. You know, it's all about consciousness again. It goes back to having the utmost belief, right, of what is true. And number one, there's more than enough for everybody, right? There's this abundant universe out here that's here to support us and each other, which also includes our planet, the animals, trees, you know, everything that is of Gaia, right? And so that's there. It's there. We just need to tap into it. And when we tap into it, some really magical things happen. I mean, ideas come into play. I mean, who would have thought 40 years, 50 years, 60 years ago that you'd have countries being powered by wind? And actually having government mandate that we're going to have our energy in a sustainable way, right? And so things happen, and they can happen through that uplifting of consciousness, which, Alina, you just said. I mean, joy is a huge part of that. And everybody, we're going to be mentioning that over and over and over and over again. that there is this you know, this magic. And remember, magic is just things that we don't really understand fully. Doesn't mean that they're not real. So, you know, enjoy the magic of joy and bringing the joy into it. And I think, you know, I think one way I think people can really tap into it is learning about all the different ways that people are moving the ball forward in traveling sustainably, right? Where, you know, where we're taking care of our world in a very positive way. So, any last thoughts that you have, Halina or Sheila? I'll go to you, Halina, first.
Okay, thank you. So I think that it's really important that we are in transition, and we talked about it, I think, last week, that we're moving through difficult times, and that may require restraint, and that may require that we really face things, and we can do that with joy. But it doesn't mean that we will live in restraint forever. It just means that we're moving through a transition. And I think that's really important, that this enormous planetary crisis, and with that also a crisis in traveling, eventually, I do believe it leads us into a world where there's much more connection between us, much more understanding between us, and much more peace in the world.
Yeah. Ooh, love that. Sheila, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I love what you just said, Halina, that this is a transition time, and to remember that as an opportunity to explore different possibilities and take joy in finding a new path during this time, whether it is exploring your local. I love to travel around New York State during the summertime and discover new things. You know, wherever you are, there's so much beauty that you're probably missing. And then using your imagination in a way that moves past imagination to an essence of feeling, of experience, is here for all of us, and that will support us in all areas of our life when we use this as a springboard to exploring that.
Love that, love that, love that, love that, love that. thank you for having this conversation today with me.
Thank you.
Again,
Thank you.
it's something that again, we don't talk about in our world. It's happening in places of academia, like we said before, like Harvard Business School. It's happening in places that have consciously decided that this is what we're going to do, like in places like Denmark and other places in Europe and around the world. But I think we need to have that come out more, have the discussion more, and have it be more public, especially here in the United States, where we're slowly moving toward more sustainable things, where I think people can really tap into the energy of everything that you guys are saying, because I think when people see that there's move and change and that kind of thing, they can embody it, right? They can really embody, like, wow, things are really, there's other ways of doing things. Wow, this is really cool. And so they raise up and then they make different decisions, and we'll turn that 40% into 80%, instead of just 40%. Ladies, thank you so much. Listen, we're going to take another very, very, very quick break. And when we come back, we'll have some Soulivity shameless plugs just for you in a minute. We'll be right back.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
And we're back with more of Soulivity today with some Soulivity shameless plugs. Got to create something for that so that we can really do that up when we do our Soulivity shameless plugs. You can tell I'm having a good time today. Halina, you've got something wonderful that is coming up that I love so much. That is so cool, and that is Another Joy Keepers. Can you tell people about that and what's going to be happening and how they can get plugged into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you just heard this joyful, sweet voice of Sheila, and she and I are having a cafe once a month, and this is an amazing opportunity to experience joy in the present time. And when you do that, then joy can start flowing into all areas of your life, including travel or decisions around it. So we're meeting next Wednesday, the 23rd, on Zoom. And we will have a chat before and a conversation afterwards. But the really core of it is the meditation, the joy meditation in the middle. And to join us, simply go to joykeepers.org/cafe and register there. And we hope to see you there.
Woo-hoo. I love it. I love it. Sheila, are you doing anything special for this one? Is there something special that you're going to be doing for the meditation that you can give us a sneak peek?
I cannot, because the miracle thing, the incredible thing about the Joy Keepers Cafe is it isn't prepared ahead. So who shows up in the cafe that day, that all of our energies dance together. And every meditation that I do is inspired in the moment. So by the dance of our energies, I'm shown where to direct the meditation. So each one is an adventure for all of us.
I did not know that. Huh.
Yes,
That's
I have
wonderful.
never prepared a meditation prepared. I've never done a meditation that I had prepared ahead of time. It's always
Wow.
They are
in the
amazing.
moment.
Amazing.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay. Well, you go ahead on with your bad self. Really quickly, Sheila, I know you've got you got your regular soul connection sessions that are happening. Can you tell people about that really quickly?
Sure. Yes, you can come have a one-on-one session with me. Some people are inspired to come because they're looking for a spiritual reading, or they would like to go on a journey with me in one of those personalized meditations I just talked about, or just kind of understand something that is in the way of acquiring what they want in life. So if you use the code SOUL23, you'll get $44 off your first session. You can find those on my website, SheilaApplegate.com. You'll also see the banner up right now is for our next Consciously Awesome Gnostic Adventure. So check that out, because that is my favorite program ever. It will transform your life.
Wow, that is so cool. Also, just want to remind everybody to follow us on social media, where you can find out more information about Soulivity and what's coming up, and including like cool things like everything that you've seen here. Also visit our website, where you can learn more information about some of the content that we're producing, including things about Soulivity Today, where you can learn and watch our latest shows. You can listen, you can download them from your podcast provider, and really enjoy those every day, because that's why we're doing them. Ladies, thank you so much for being here with me. Running out of time, so I'm just going to say
Thank you.
thanks again for being here and watching us on Soulivity Today. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our live broadcast, or you can listen to us at 8 a.m. Pacific time on KMET 1490 AM radio for all of you on the West Coast. Keep having real conversations with passion and purpose, and create that best life today. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other